Hello, my name is David Schwiddick, and I am an assistant professor of graphic design and digital media in the art department of Lehman College, CUNY. My project, Through the Lens of Age, is a collaboration with my colleague, Dr. Justine McGovern. She's from the social work department at Lehman. Through words and images, this portrait series explores the impact of creativity and the arts on aging, specifically highlighting individuals over the age of 65 that are currently engaging in one or more forms of creative expression. Rather than focusing on the creative output of these artists and creators, Through the Lens of Age casts its gaze on the faces of the artists themselves, celebrating the supremacy and the intimacy of the portrait, as well as its ability to reflect and elevate the human spirit. The initial study participants consisted of 25 social work undergraduates enrolled at CUNY's Lehman College, located in the Bronx. They were paired with 25 adults over 65, and data collection consisted of interviews with key points documented in photographs. Students exhibited results in local venues, extending the reach of their work in advocacy action. Mixed methods, pre and post test, captured student reflections and reactions, and study findings indicate that arts-based participatory research can contribute to decreasing depression and isolation by promoting intergenerational relationships, reducing workforce shortages and fears about one's own future by improving perceptions of older adults, and of course supporting student success by deepening engagement with learning. Their final student presentations were rooted firmly in the sciences, specifically in the form of traditional poster presentations like the ones seen here. These highly analytical documents certainly do a good job at presenting the project, breaking down the methodology, and they provide a good summation of the study's key findings. After all, certainty in findings is a prized commodity in the sciences. In this case, one of the key findings that emerged was the unique importance of remaining creative, whether it be through painting, sewing, writing, or some other activity. And though creativity certainly stood out as important to the aging, it wasn't exactly clear from the presentations why this would be true. Creativity meant something different to each of the subjects, so it's hard to pin down a definitive reason that creativity would be helpful. But whereas this lack of ambiguity is valued in the sciences, it can be problematic in the arts. This idea of an unclear intersection between creativity and aging inspired me to explore it in a less analytical and somewhat more ambiguous way. I began tracking down working artists over the age of 65. People who had been creating art their whole lives in some form or another and were still creating late in life. The basic premise is this: the artists sit for their portraits and I take their pictures. I interview them. They say things like this.
It's the most relaxing thing I could do. I could read or do a million, but I love to sit and work.
Or this.
I love to do it now. And now I'm limited to my hand, and I even love that.
Then I began exploring amateur artists, people over the age of 65 who took up art as a kind of hobby late in life, asking them to discuss their processes and really what creativity meant for them. They told me things like this.
When I was a child, I used to dance ballet. So I guess it's in my blood, a little bit artistic way.
Yes.
And even in my family, I have a lot of artists.
And this.
I get a lot of tension in my makeup, my personality, and I find that relaxing helps me.
But the images alone couldn't capture this intersection of age and creativity. I needed to include their words. So I'm a graphic designer, and naturally it occurred to me that the things that these people were saying to me, both professionals and amateurs alike, brought much needed context to the portrait. The result is a developing series of portraits paired with text. Each portrait is an attempt to crystallize something unique about the subject's creative spirit. The accompanying text, a subsection of the subject's discussion during the interview, attempts to contextualize the portrait and really anchor the overarching theme of the series. No one portrait, regardless of the artistic level or the age of the subject, is given preference over another, in an attempt to better democratize aging and its relationship to the creative urge. Rather than framing the process of aging as a gradual decline, Through the Lens of Age examines creativity and artistic expression as a means of renewal, That is, how self expression can enrich self worth.